No.
Kind of happy, sad, mysterious.
Mysterious. The river had its birth in the mountains. The icicles hanging from the glacier dripped like tears onto the face of the rocks, and the springs bubbled forth, sending their streams down the rocks, joining the melting water. And as the water passed down over ranges of hills, among the ferns, the bent trees, the leaves, the waters grew and grew till it was a foaming torrent, a waterfall pouring through the forest. And the birds flew overhead, and the water gained momentum, and soon there was a raging cataract of water that flowed down through the meadows, past the forest, and into the center of the town. Then the stone bridges, undermined in their foundations, collapsed, and the rocks collapsed, and the buildings by the shore crumbled into the water, and the people fled into the streets while the storm clouds gathered in the sky. And then lightning burst in a blinding flash, striking a tree which burst into flames. And in the fire, in the smoke, a face appeared briefly, which smiled, then vanished. And the people who saw it stood mesmerized, stood hypnotized. Then they smiled, looked up into the sky, and the rain soaked their skin and their hair, yet they continued to smile and began to dance in the rain. And then others ran from the buildings. They dropped everything and began dancing the street. Tens, then hundreds, then thousands of people. And the rain poured down harder, harder, faster, louder. And the people became more and more joyous, more and more ecstatic. Some of them leaped into the sky. Some of them became angels. Others changed into roaring balls of roaring flame that rose up so high that they exploded, and millions of sparks flew in all directions, landing on the forest, setting them on fire. And then from out of the woods came hundreds of millions of silver dragonflies that landed on all the buildings. And the children stared at the dragonflies and laughed, and some of them rose into the sky and became dragonflies themselves. And then from out of the river came the silver fish dancing in the waves. And the river grew so wide that it was soon over a mile. Then it grew wider still, until over half the continent was underwater and resembled a vast freshwater sea in which the other shore could not be seen. And from out of the huge flowing river came mountains, islands, volcanoes, and on them were castles cathedrals, spires, and giant winged reptiles circled in the sky, breathing fire. And then, from out of the sky, from out of the clouds, came a huge human eye that cried tears upon the waves. And at this point, graves opened, and people walked forward, alive, grew wings, and flew straight into the moon. Good night.